I'm here. My name is Ben Hanson. I'm joined by Dan Tack.
Hello, hello.
Benjamin Reeves.
How's it going?
And Leo Vader.
Thanks.
Oh my gosh.
Leo's not just a disembodied voice.
I know, it's amazing.
He's
He's
a real
actually
person.
out here
I'm
in
an
the flesh.
embodied voice.
You can physically
here.
touch him, I promise. So I'm excited for this batch of people, this bunch of folk, because I have no idea what you all consider the greatest games of 2017. Reeves, I feel like I can predict yours vaguely.
You probably guess my top 3.
We might be a little bit similar.
Okay.
Everybody else, I wanted to get just what I would call the freak group, put them together for the podcast, and that's what we're going to do on this episode.
And
is
JV wasn't
Yeah,
available?
I was
or
going to
what?
say, where's JV then? 'Cause
Wait, yeah. God, we should. Leo, can we set up more mics for the freaks?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
And
So what we're doing, we're breaking down our top 10 favorite games of 2017. This isn't the Game Informer official. You can check out the new issue for that and see every editor's, but it's fun to surprise each other with our individual top 10 games of 2017. We hope that listeners and viewers aren't sick of hearing all about 2017 because it was a hell of a year and it's worth digesting. So we're going to go around the horn. 10, 10, 10, 10, 9, 9, 9, 9. Going around the horn. If your game from earlier up in your list gets spoken about, speak your piece then. Don't double back and talk about it again. Reeves, we've done
But
this
you don't need to
1,000
say
times.
like what number it is.
We've done this.
That's right. Dan Tack, I believe we did this last
We
year.
did. It's a good. I think the format's pretty nice.
I think it is nice. I completely agree.
And we don't know anybody's list yet.
That's true.
Yeah.
I like.
So that's the thing. We are recording this in the past, so it's a complete surprise that everybody has. I mean, if we did it in the current day, then it'd be like, oh, we know exactly it is because we proofed the magazine, and that goes in the magazine, and everybody made fun of each other upstairs in the bullpen already.
Hi, future Ben.
How's he doing?
Hope that medical issue's fine. I hope that worked out.
Hey, Dan Tack.
Hey,
How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. Pretty good.
About the year or about today?
Great about the year.
Really?
The year was a dynamite year for games. I think it
What
was
are your
difficult
favorites?
narrowing down a top 10, even having not played some of the amazing titles this year.
Yeah. You never owned a Switch.
Correct.
After a year of me bugging you on this
That's right.
podcast.
I still don't have one. I
Okay.
still, to be, since we're bringing this up, I still
Yeah.
plan to have one. Hopefully, I have one by the time this airs.
What if by the time this airs, you start playing, I'm not going to name a Switch game, but one of the big ones, and then
Yeah.
you say, my God, what have I done? And you run to the printer of the magazine, you start clawing at the
I wouldn't do that.
paper mills.
How do I get arms on there?
I'm really comfortable with my choices. I can't put games that I haven't played on there, so
we can't?
No, Leo, I'm
it makes
sorry.
it makes it difficult to make one of the top games. In my opinion, you can put whatever you want down, but
Thank you.
Dan Tack, number 10.
number 10 is Horizon Zero Dawn,
Great one.
squeaking
All
in
right.
at 10.
The
Yeah,
old squeaker.
10 was a tough slot. Stuff moving in, stuff moving out, but
Yeah.
Horizon made the cut. I'm maybe not as hot on it as some other people in the office, but it's still really, I think it was a sweet game.
Yeah.
At least enough to hit my top 10.
Absolutely. What did you love most about Horizon Zero Dawn?
It wasn't so much the open world, more of the fact that you weren't just you couldn't just go in and smash the button to win your encounters. I like the whole setup to take the dinosaurs down, sort of kind of thing.
Did it rekindle your Monster Hunter love?
No Monster Hunter love. I did like I didn't so much like the bandit outposts or any of that stuff, but when you took down the different dinosaurs, figuring out how to approach them was really interesting to me.
That combat system surprisingly deep. I think it took me like half the game to really wrap my head around it, but just the idea of like using all the different like weapons you have and like setting up traps and like trying to take off parts of like the robot's body and like slowly whittling them down was actually surprisingly fun. I thought once I got into it, because I'm used to like diving into an encounter and just like shooting things until it's dead, but you had to be a little bit more tactical with Horizon, which,
Right.
to its benefit, I think.
Yeah, definitely. The fights felt like they had weight to them, and you had to use your brain a little bit. You couldn't just walk right in and say, "Hey, I'm going to shoot this big T-Rex." That would end pretty badly usually,
Yeah.
right? And also the story wasn't completely terrible, which I also enjoyed.
If you like listening to holograms. Yeah, I feel like I also really enjoyed Horizon Zero Dawn. It had, maybe it's just because I was trying to play through with the entire thing over Thanksgiving break, and I felt like it was ending for a good 8 hours there, because they do the biggest
Sure.
BS thing,
Yeah.
number one BS thing on all of planet Earth, throughout all of just human
2016,
history.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The biggest BS thing is they say, hey, you're going into this cave, no going back. Point of no return. Get ready. Have you done all side quests? Get ready to go. Head on in. And then you go through, and then you beat a boss, and then you come back out, and it's like, all right, we got about 6 more hours waiting for you. Like, you can't, cry wolf on, hey, this is it, because that's such a sweet moment in games, and then it makes everything after that just feel like bonus, when is it going to wrap up? And there's some cool moments after that, but it still had this feeling of dragging on because they shot that flare out
The
early.
Witcher 3 had a similar, like, very long, drawn-out end.
Yeah.
Like, hey, warning, the game's almost over in 10 hours. Like,
Yeah. But
I'd agree with all that. I think that actually, for me, it was actually much stronger at the beginning of the game than at the end. Like, I really like those initial forays where, I mean, spoilers, but it's been a year.
For the beginning? Spoilers for the beginning?
Yeah, for the beginning. When you're out with the group of Braves or whatever, and all of a sudden, boom, everybody is just like getting gunned down, and you have that was like, whoa, where'd this come from?
There's guns? Like,
right.
What the hell is happening?
I really like the stuff like that. And then when the mystery was unexplained, it was also a cool yarn to unravel. I don't know if it completely paid off in the end, but I think they at least nailed it. It wasn't like a complete cop-out ending or anything like that.
And I'm going to keep it ambiguous with spoilers too, but I spent also an unhealthy amount of the game thinking there's a female character's name that they say over and over again, and she's an American scientist, except the name it sounds confusing to the American ear, and I spent so much of the game like, why is that character named that? That's such a weird name. But that's not important. Yes, absolutely. I feel like it wraps up. It has an interesting thread to lead you along. Also, it's a mark of a good open world game, I feel like, when you can fast travel, but I don't want to. Like, a lot of that game, I just spent like, even have to go all the way across the map, I'm just going to take my time because that is the thrill, is just wandering on this trail. And
there's probably something you want to see on the way.
Yeah,
that was the case for me.
Well, some more red berries to pick up for the little health boost thing.
Yeah.
Sure. The controls just so tight. Combat was great. Also, you cannot say enough for a company's first open world game, how technically sound that game is. Base level PS4 runs like butter.
It really does.
It's amazing. Dan Tack, great choice.
Thank you.
Ben Reeves, number 10.
Number 10, Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus.
I'm sorry. It sounds like you said Wolfenstein. That can't be correct.
Wolfenstein.
Do you mean Wolfenstein?
No.
Oh. Wait, are these two different games?
Yeah. It's a game about Nazis in America.
You seemed a little bit skeptical about like the level of hype, but it ended up you enjoyed it anyway.
I was skeptical about... I don't know what I was skeptical about. It's a weird game tonally, I feel like, because it's so like zany and like out there and like silly at times, and yet on the other end of the spectrum, it's like trying to take certain things very serious, like certain stories and certain like emotional things very serious.
Very mature topics covered, yeah.
Right, and so like on some level, I had to like just sort of embrace that, and it's incredibly fun when you can just embrace the like crazy sci-fi pulpness to it. And I'll be honest, I cranked down the difficulty a little bit just to like wipe the floor with the Nazis, and that's fun.
You don't have to listen to this hack.
It's just fun to shoot things.
Call us when you're done. We're gonna head out.
Okay, I'm gonna go home and actually play the game. No, I mean I think it's a lot of fun, and the shooting is solid, and when you can just kill everything in the room, and there's a lot in terms of like moments and story moments, like probably the best moments of the year in that game. Like the biggest collection of like multiple times where I was like, oh, this is awesome what I'm doing, or this thing that's happening.
It's just crazy
really cool.
bold.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We did a spoiler cast on it.
Yeah.
That they kind of covered the swath there. So go listen to that if you're interested. I thought it was good.
It is funny listening because I produced that Spoiled, which you can find on Game Informer site or on YouTube, and not having played beyond like the first hour of that game, it's so funny to hear where it goes disconnected of like, what? Like you never could expect where this game ends up, and that's cool that the moments make it shine for you.
Yeah, it totally did. And like I said, it's pretty fun shooting. Pretty fun shooting.
Sweet.
Text. And just every moment to moment, every level's different. Like that's the one thing I like is it constantly changed.
Yeah, Dan Tack is really thinking this one through.
Am I?
Yeah, eyebrows seem to be raised. Did you play Wolfenstein 2?
I didn't, which is why I'm not.
Did you play Wolfenstein?
I'm listening and taking it in. I did not play that one either. Neither of those games.
Leo Vader, number 10.
My number 10 is Assassin's Creed Origins.
Interesting. You seem pretty hot on that.
I love that game. I've always enjoyed Assassin's Creed games at the same moderate level, and this is the first one that's really stood out for me as an exceptional open world.
So you think this is like your favorite Assassin's Creed?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, wow.
Even Ubisoft games in general, I feel like they are a company that's great at making big open worlds that are pretty and pretty diverse. But as far as filling them with stuff to do, I think Assassin's Creed Origins is better than they have been with that. Just every single city will have just 10 outposts within it that are just buildings with treasure that you can scout out or bosses to take out or whatever. Feels like you can always just run around the city.
So not necessarily like side quests necessarily. Just
right. Although I do like those too. But
okay. Yeah. Is it the world overall? Like, is that the start of the show?
That's a big part of it. I think the combat's really fun. A lot of people say you can get in there and brute force everything, which you technically can, but I don't know why you choose to play a game in a way that you don't like. Because I really like doing stealth bow stuff. You know, bows? Yeah.
Sweet.
Doing stealth blade stuff.
Oh, okay. I know blades.
Like that?
Oh.
Yeah.
Blades, bows.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
I played that game up through the Alexandria part, which is one of the bigger cities you get to early on. I was like, oh, this is a pretty good city. It's pretty big and like meaty and like a lot of cool things to look around in. And then I kept zooming out on the map and I'm like, oh, this is actually a really small part of this world. Like, so just like the scope of that world is impressive to me, and like how big it is and how many like people were talking early on in the office about how cool the art was in the game. Like just from an artistic standpoint, I'm like, how interesting it was. And I'm like, it's just a desert, like on some level. But the more I played that game, the more I realized, like, oh, actually, there is a lot of diversity to this world, and they did a good choice, good job, like bringing it all together.
Yeah, I agree. It's a game that's like full of ideas in a way that not a lot of Ubisoft games are. You know, I've got this sword that brings me down to 1 bar of health, but I do a ton of extra damage. There's all these papyrus puzzles that are just, you have to solve these riddles. There's no waypoint or anything. You've just got to find them on the map and dig up the treasure. It's really interesting stuff in that game.
Assassin's Creed, I feel like it has a lot of baggage. People might be scared of it. Like, say, is it to a point where just Witcher 3 fans or fans of other action RPGs are okay diving into this one, and it won't be just a constant barrage of Assassin's Creed teasers that you don't care about?
I would think so. There's barely anything tying it into the overarching story, and the stuff that is there is just really interesting and alluring. It makes you want to check in, like, what happened in those games? Should I be following that story more?
So it makes you feel guilty a little bit then. Do you have to like look up old cutscenes on YouTube and stuff to understand it?
Yeah, Wikipedia pages, for sure.
But that's optional.
Totally optional.
Okay, thank God. Yeah, I should go back to that one. Got to go back to that one.
It's long. I'm like 40 hours in and not quite done. Yeah.
Schnikey.
Jesus. My number 10 is the opposite. It's shorter, and I think that's what makes it shine a little bit. Uncharted Lost Legacy is my number 10. I went in a little bit skeptical. I may have critiqued it a little bit on the GI show, but you still just can't resist Naughty Dog making something unique, making something cool. I think those environments were cool to explore. Some great climbing on giant elephants, and some amazing technical work. And overall, turns out I still enjoy Uncharted's action. Reeves, where you land on Uncharted Lost Legacy?
I liked it a lot. So I think I said to this might have been off the podcast, but I was like, Uncharted 4, my favorite game of the last year. It was my number 1. Lost Legacy didn't even make my top 10. Like, it's kind of sad. I did like the game a lot, but it's just like, it's kind of like more Uncharted in a good way. It's like everything you like about Uncharted. Some good set piece moments. I think the story didn't quite hit me on the same level that Uncharted 4 did.
It's I mean, it's tough to put Naughty Dog against itself, and especially in the last 5 or 10 years, but it's middle of the road Naughty Dog storytelling, I'd say, if you judge it based on the last 10 years.
Which, if you judge against every other game out there, it's like,
yes,
A-list.
Yes, yes, that is exactly the situation.
They should quit making games.
Just stop. Yeah. Just stop right now.
Just write short stories.
Please.
That's all I want.
Dan Tack, number 9.
Number 9. It's a little game they call World of Warcraft.
What year is it? What is this?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Hoobastank called.
That's a good one. Man.
You
I was scared of that one. So Legion came out last year.
Yeah.
But basically par for the course for the last decade or so of not decade, 5 years of World of Warcraft has been expansion comes out. It's really great, but the buzz and the content wears out real fast because you blow right through it, right? So they've been amazing this year at actually giving people more dungeons, more stuff to do. Just keep rolling it out, and they did a great job on the Legion story arc.
Wait, okay, so there's no expansion, but just they went all in on updating this thing?
Yeah, lots and lots of content all year round. So instead of having like something that they struggled with in the past was like release expansion and then no content till next expansion, more or less.
Yeah.
And definitely did not see that here. They continue to offer amazing support, very substantial content stuff throughout the year.
What was the best piece of content throughout the year?
Well, so what I hear it's the latest raid, but I haven't actually had time to do it.
But beyond that,
there was plenty of other dungeons activities and other raids to go on during the course of the year. It's good stuff.
Have you ever done the math to figure out how much money you've spent on your WoW subscription since 2004?
Oh my God. I haven't kept it active the entire time, but we should figure this out. That would be easy to do.
How many homes can you buy?
And we could actually we can tell you that number. We can figure that out.
Okay.
I'd love to post it right now.
I'd love to post it and cry about it.
Just a news story?
Yeah, we'll do it.
Here's the things I could have bought instead. That's
Dan Tack
sorry to
Ryan.
interrupt. It's $40. I just looked it up.
Jeff Cork, $40, pretty good,
All right.
man.
That would
Pretty
be
good.
A
That
little
is why.
video game?
That's
That's
about all
for
the
kids,
games
man.
Definitely wasn't $40.
Sorry, Jeff Cork. I feel like that's inaccurate. Dan Tack says that's not the case. That it was more
No,
than
it's I rounded up. It's $39.
$39.
Yeah.
Okay, that
Dan
makes more
Tack,
sense.
I'll
That's a
be damned.
great
Good-
deal
good
for the,
job,
for
yeah.
the years.
That's really cool. Do you feel like this is a new template, a new standard for WoW, or
I
is it
do.
just a freak year?
I think this is the they've been saying for years and years, we're going to fix this. We're not going to have another thing like that. And then they didn't do it. But this time they did do it. So I think they can keep moving forward. They've obviously got processes in place to make sure that they don't have another Pandaria
Oh, really? That's
situation.
the low point?
As far as like a content dearth after release.
Yeah, and pandas are silly. We should point out Jeff Cork is switching this podcast. That's why he suddenly jumped in.
That's the problem. If you're watching the video, I would like to apologize. Seat of my pants.
Ben Reeves, number 9.
Number 9. It's a little game called Heat Signature.
Oh,
That
literally
sounds-
a little game.
That
Yeah,
is
it
on
is
my
a-
list as well.
A very little
Uh-oh.
game. And I like that game a lot. It's by the guy who did Gunpoint. Do you know his name?
Tom Francis.
Tom Francis.
I call him St. Francis after that work.
That's
Hey.
right. It's a spacefaring adventure where you kind of control a bunch of dudes. It's procedurally generated, and I'm the kind of guy that hates procedural stuff.
Procedures in general.
Yeah, and procedural shows. But I love this game. You take on a bunch of contracts, you fly over to a spaceship, and then you just go wreck their ship, basically. So it's tactical in a way that I love, but it's like all in real time. At any point you hit the space bar and it freezes time, and you can look through your items, and you have stuff that'll like teleport you across the ship. You have stuff that'll teleport other people and switch places with them. You have guns, obviously. Just the like variety of different things you get and how you mix and match those things together, and everything's on a cooldown. So you have to wait for one thing to cool down. You might be like juggling your equipment and like, oh, I got 5 dudes and they're all training their guns on me. How do I get out of this situation? I love that like seat of your pants. How do I get out of this terrible situation I've created for myself? And I had a lot of fun.
Hotline Miami meets FTL.
On
Ship
Smack.
ship rating
Yeah.
playground.
Yes.
Those are the keywords here.
Those are good keywords, and I think I like this game better than all those keywords.
Wow.
That's a hell of an elevator pitch.
And I
right
liked the
there.
FTL, and I liked Heat Signature okay.
And ships.
Or wait, that was the
Hotline
wrong one.
Miami.
Hotline Miami. And I like ships.
Leo, what is it about this game that's tickled you so much?
It rewards being clever. There's so many things to do in any given situation.
Still
and
waiting for your reward then? Go ahead. No, yeah, please.
I came on this as a favor.
I know. Thank
Ooh.
you.
I think the procedural generation is some of the best I've seen, as in the variety of the ships. Not only based on which region you're in, you're getting different factions with different abilities, but I think just once you get to the higher levels with the giant ships, there's a great arc to all the levels. You know, you're getting key cards to move your way through the ship. Eventually, you can get to the captain. You know, if you cause an alarm before then, you're in huge trouble.
So
But if you cause an alarm, you can like run to the captain's quarters, shoot the captain in the head, and then you're like the alarm will deactivate, and then you can like pilot the ship into like some like space station and crash it. Like it's pretty cool.
That's what happens a lot. Is I'll start an alert, I'll pause, and I'll just think, how do I get to the captain's chair in the 10 seconds I have?
Also,
really fun.
my favorite thing to do in this game is like usually the missions involve you going and capturing somebody or going and like stealing something. So I'll go get that thing, and then I blow out a window and I just get sucked out into space, and then I remote control my ship to come pick me and whatever I had up. It's
That's
pretty good.
amazing. So when it comes, Reeves mentions Wolfenstein for its scripted moments of the year, but is it just little story generator moments of the year type scenario for you, Leo?
Totally. That's what I told Reeves is like, as far as games that generate stories, it feels constant.
Yeah.
It's just stories constantly pouring out of that big old story machine.
Take that, Naughty Dog. Come on, taking a year to make Lost Legacy. Let's go.
Oh, what are you
25
guys
seconds.
doing? Come on.
Play Heat Signature. Great choice. Leo, number 9.
Number 9 is Agents of Mayhem.
Whoa.
Get the
What?
fuck out of
What?
here.
Are
This
you-
is
are you-
amazing.
I expected to be met with a chorus of, that was on my list as well.
Oh, that's what we were saying. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I'm blown away right
This
now.
is shocking. Kyle brought it up in the underappreciated games of the year, and we roundly mocked him. And I thought everybody had learned their lesson trying to defend a good game, but apparently you're still out there doing it. Agents of Mayhem, please convince people to check this out.
Hey, I'm going to be honest. I love a good podcast game,
Ah,
which
Okay.
this was. I like the art style of the cutscenes. Of course, the writing has been appropriately mocked probably on our very own YouTube channel, some
Yeah.
might say. But the combat, I think, is very intricate in a way very few people appreciate. and it's
Wow.
very accessible, yet there's so much customization. You can make certain builds for certain characters that'll like focus on one ability or one type of gun, and you can also have a lot of fun organizing your teams of 3. You know, you've got somebody for crowd control, somebody who shoots at range.
And so you're like
Interesting.
swapping between all these people in open world action.
Yes.
Is it a quick swap?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a couple seconds.
Okay. That seems all right. So you want people to play Agents of Mayhem? You want them to give it a shot?
I think if you see that on sale for $20, you'll be glad you got it.
There's 8 other games out there that you think people should play first, it sounds like.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
It's weird that this is like from the guys who did Saints Row, and what I liked about Saints Row wasn't really the action, it was like just this insanity, and like the humor was pretty funny most of the time.
Yeah.
And this
Same for
seems
me.
like it's completely the opposite, where the humor just falls on its face, but the action's like, wow, this is actually pretty good.
Yeah, and it just feels really good dashing around. I like it.
I'm really curious about the podcast game angle. Like, this is the game for you throughout the year where it's like, I'm just going to listen to podcasts, zone out, and just have some good old-fashioned video game ass fun.
Exactly.
That's it.
Yeah, very arcadey. Don't have to read very much, which I like.
Oh, don't get me started on reading.
Yeah.
Boo.
Get out of here with your books.
Reading is actually my number one.
Reading's
mine
pretty
too.
good, though. I appreciate it.
I liked in the middle of our top 50 debate and game of the year debate, Leo suggested, can't we just give the number 1 slot to having fun? You said that and it was funny, Leo.
At the time, a lot of people laughed.
Yeah. Anyways, my number 9. Controversial, Dan.
Is it? I mean, that one was. You're not going to be able to beat that one.
I think I might beat it.
All right.
The game is literally just tapping on a screen, and not even with the great sense of progression from a dumb tapping game, but in the same way that I thought the game sucked last year with Pokemon Go, but the experience was notable and one of my favorites of the year. Number 9, I'm giving to HQ, the trivia iOS game.
I don't think that's controversial.
Oh!
I love that game.
Yeah, that's mine. Number 8 as well.
Holy cow! All right, HQ. It's that live streaming trivia game where someone gives you a little alert in your pocket twice a day, and then they come on the screen, and it's just trivia. And I'm a guy who loves trivia. I love bar trivia. This has removed any need for bar trivia in my life because you answer 12 questions, you might actually get paid at the end. It's a real hoot. It is a novel, weird experience. I love playing it with a group of friends or in the office when we gather around to play it. It's just fun to have this weird communal, futuristic sci-fi streaming into your pocket take on old-fashioned trivia, and I really, really enjoy it. Dan, and I won't have you attack me anymore for it.
I think it's a great game. It didn't make my top 10, but I do play it.
Wow,
It's a lot of fun.
Wait,
yeah.
where are you every day when we play in the office?
Right.
You never get up
I
out of your
can't play.
seat.
I can't play in the office because I don't have an iPhone. It's only on iOS.
But you
as
could
far as I
help
know.
us.
Well, yeah, you could sit on with us in the corner.
Sit on our lap.
Yeah, sit
I
on
mean,
our
yeah.
laps.
Well, now you're talking.
Hey, Mama Booey.
Never got invited.
Hey.
I will say it was a funny moment in our top 50 discussion where we were talking about what are the top 10 dorks of the year. And
Yeah.
Hanson, you brought up Scott is his name, right?
Yeah,
He's
the
kind of
Trap
a-
Trebek.
He's a kind of a dorky guy.
Kind of.
Yeah.
He's clearly one of the dorks of the year.
He makes a lot of dorky jokes. He calls everybody H cuties, and everybody in the office was like, "What are you talking about, Hanson? He's so suave and handsome."
I thought everyone was respectful
I don't.
towards me.
Yeah. I don't,
No, of course everyone's like, it's just dumb. We're moving on.
I get some really weird recollections going on here.
It was a complete mockery, but it was definitely a little bit of that. Stop being handsy about it.
Yeah,
We're moving on. Type
Whatever.
Of vibe.
What is this?
When clearly he's number 1 dork of the year in my mind, in this podcaster's mind.
He's definitely a
Anyways.
lovable dork. The epitome
Yes.
of a lovable
Yeah,
dork.
lovable
Yes.
dork.
Yeah.
Dan Tack, number 8.
Number 8, Nier. Yeah,
There we go.
that's right.
Okay.
And full disclosure here, I'm only a few hours into this game,
That's outrageous.
and I'm
All
already
right,
making that.
What is this?
I know. I know. It got me at the end of the year where I broke down and said, like, you know, I have like 4 hours to play something, and it's got to be one of these games that I have to like think about for end of the year, you know, analysis. And it's just like, what do I got? All right, can't do any of these games that are going to take me 40 hours. So let's just jump in this one and see what everyone's talking about, because it seemed like one of the most divisive titles, right?
Yeah.
This is like a love or hate kind of thing, and I guess I'm on the love side.
You're a lover.
Even just so far. that is
Yeah.
true. So
I hear you.
it is early to call, I know.
Yeah.
But it made my list all the same. I love the combat. I love the music. I love the atmosphere. These are things usually that drive me into, like, you know, I'm not going to compare it to a Souls game, but I'm just saying the same aspects that pull me into that
Music
are sort of the same. That
Souls?
absolutely.
Really? I guess I'm not
Sparing
really sure.
use in Souls games for boss
Okay.
fights really enhances the experience, and then no music anywhere else.
Yeah. I feel like the enjoyment for Nier is kind of it's shaped like some would say a valley, right? Where it starts out and it's like, oh, this is cool. Yeah, the music's great. Setting's interesting. All right, I'm curious to see where this goes. Once you get to the B ending, like the B scenario, it really stalls in my mind. I'm like halfway through the B scenario now, and I stopped there. I enjoyed what I played, and eventually I know it'll pick back up and start really making more and more twists on things. So I think it's a safe choice, Dan, if you're that enthralled by it, because might dip a little bit, but if you spend more time with it, then I think it'll come through and probably be one of the most notable experiences of the year for you. Wow, Nier Automata.
I know, right?
See, Ben Reeves, all you got to say is that you love Nier Automata. Dan Tack knows the internet will love you.
Really? I said in one podcast, it was like, oh, it's maybe a little overrated just because everybody's talking about it.
Why are you doubling down on this?
Yeah,
dude?
and then he drove home to his house and it was just in flames.
Yeah. I'm homeless now.
That was his wife kicking him out of the house for that, saying
That's
those
right.
radical podcast opinions.
Hey, Ben Hanson,
Yeah.
I'd be remiss if I didn't, in the spirit of Tim Terry, who's not with us, if I didn't call out former PC editor Adam B. Scenario. Gotta go.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's true. Adam Biesner is a very funny pun on Adam Biesner.
Yeah.
Guy who used to work in Dan Tack's old
He did.
Great contribution.
Good job, Jeff Cork. Thank you.
I feel like Tim never left.
Ben Reeves.
Number 8.
Yeah.
Correct. I'm going to go with Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
Interesting.
The XCOM-like Nintendo game.
XCOM Love.
XCOM Love, in fact, yeah. It's Mario plus Rabbids, and I remember at one point we heard about it before the game was coming out, and you're like, Mario plus Rabbids, this sounds bad. And apparently when it leaked, everybody else thought the same thing until they saw it, and they all fell in love. And it turns out that game is a lot of fun. It's a good strategy. It's a little bit more simple than XCOM, but it's not like a baby strategy game.
It gets
There's
hard.
actually some complexity to it, and actually is hard,
Yeah.
which I liked.
Have you tried? They recently added a multiplayer because there was the co-op in there at launch, but they recently added competitive. Have you guys tried that?
I haven't tried the competitive yet.
Okay, I'm kind of curious how that is because if it's just like stock Nintendo characters, I think that'd be kind of fun just to
That would be pretty
bang
fun,
out
actually.
that way.
I was happy with the single player campaign. I do wish that I could switch out one of the rabbits. It's like, why do I always have got a rabbit in there? You always have to have Mario in your party, so there's certain limitations, but
Yeah.
just the suite of abilities that everybody has, whether you can like bring dudes in, like have a guy sing a song and they like guys come in, or I love that's a thing. Like you sing a song and all the guys kind of come closer.
You're
to
making that up.
Well, go look it up. Check the tape. Or Rabbid Luigi has a thing where he like runs through dudes and he like vampirizes them. So when you shoot them, you can steal their health. So just like using all that stuff in conjunction, like there's some surprisingly rich strategy to it.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was
Great
one of the best games on Switch this year.
Yeah, I think you're right. Leo, number 8.
Number 8, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Number 8.
There must be a typo.
Hold on.
8 is
That can't be
lower
right.
than
He
number
had
1.
Agents
Hold
of
on,
Mayhem.
that can't be
last
right.
game. Just FYI.
Turn it on its side.
Did you
Wait a
crunch the
second.
numbers?
Oh yeah, it's at number infinity. Thank you.
There we
Thank you,
go.
Reeves.
Infinity, all time. Number 8 for you. Why is that?
I don't want to dwell on the negative here.
Okay.
So let's move on.
Well, for one thing, I'm sure it's on someone else's list here. So, like, if we're gonna discuss it now, now's
That's
the
true.
time.
If we want to save for someone
Dan
to gush
Tack
it.
wants to get this over with, huh?
No, we can discuss it twice. I don't care.
You
All right,
scared,
Dan.
Dan?
All right.
What am I scared of?
Come on, you tell us.
It's not on my list.
Hell yeah. Leo, number 8. What did you like about Breath of the Wild?
I thought it was cool. People talk all the time about how it has a great sense of exploration.
Yeah.
And I think it really does, but it does it in such a simple way where it's just the sheer fact that you are seeing landmarks and making your own choices to go there.
Yeah.
I think just adds so much. That is like the core thing that really makes that game feel good to play and feel exciting. And
Yeah.
like I said to you earlier this year, I always remember what I did during a play session of Zelda.
Yeah.
Instead of it just being like a sea of doing samey things, it's like, oh yeah, then I explored this area and I finally mapped that out and I checked out this place for the first time.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah, especially coming so close to Horizon Zero Dawn. It's such a good reminder of just, man, I'm not a fan of the open world games, even though I enjoyed Horizon, but just I don't like checklists of things to do.
Mhm.
And playing Breath of the Wild, not even a huge Zelda guy, just going into that game and realizing, yes, this is what I want games to be. Don't tell me a goddamn thing. Just say, hey, you have to defeat Ganon, go for it.
Yeah.
Never feel guilty. Go have an adventure. It's not, and it's, people always make the case of like, oh, Skyrim, so many open world games, you can just go do what you want, but not removing all chronology from the experience, not saying like you should be doing this, but I guess technically you could wander over here. Just Zelda, defeat Ganon, go any way you want, have fun. And I just love the amount of freedom, not even to mention the crazy physics and immersive sim aspects if you want to take that angle, just of how janky and also delightfully fun that game can be, especially once you get Rivali's Gale and you can just shatter everything in that game.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Oh, it's great. If you haven't really played yet, I recommend going to get in the climbing gear and then go get the bird dungeon done. The bird area, upper left.
Upper left.
Yeah, it's good. But there's so many.
I like the idea of following up. You can do anything. There's no right and wrong way to do it. It's all about exploration. But here's
this and this and this first.
Here's the open world checklist. You really gotta get out of.
Yeah, I shouldn't say that. Yeah, go enjoy that game however you want.
Yeah,
it is one of those things where, like, the world's full of so many things to like interact with, and you'll see something, you're like, oh, I gotta see what this is about, and like you find a treasure chest or something, or you run into somebody and like starts a side quest or whatever, and there's so many, or there's a lot of things you do that don't start side quests is actually my point, because there's so many games out there that they'll have these interesting mechanic things in the game and they create side quests around them because they want to show them off. And it was like an interesting move for Nintendo, I thought, to like not create a bunch of side quests where it's like just enjoy the world and explore it and have fun. And I think I actually did enjoy their world more because I wasn't just following a bunch of checkpoints around the map and like, all right, I got to go do this thing and this thing and this thing now.
Yeah.
Like, it was way more interesting to explore that world because of it.
And it would have been not easy, but it would have been so natural for Nintendo to start to bleed into the open world genre and start dabbling with those basics. And just the idea of just zigging when they're expected to zag with open world design and just say, whatever, you can do anything, no real progression, get all your equipment out of the gate, go have fun. And just to nail that unique take in such a big, bold way.
Actually, when I first started playing, I was like kind of tempted to think like, well, Nintendo's just being lazy by not creating some of that side.
You were shouting
content.
Lazy devs at the screen.
Lazy guys. But the more I thought about it, I'm like, oh, it's actually kind of a clever move and pretty bold to like, you climb this tower, like the towers in Far Cry, to like open up your map. But when you open up that map, like nothing, it doesn't open anything other than the map. Like you have to go and create all those waypoints yourself. And it actually, like, I had more fun with the game because of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Motorcycles are pretty cool too.
And the paraglider ruined all other open world games.
And climbing, the climbing paraglider thing. I think that was the most eloquent Kyle was on the podcast back when we talked about the game's review, was just talking about how it completely shattered his concept of navigation in an open world game. It's just, it is so simple, but at the same time, just amazing to have that much freedom and that much ability to get around the world.
Oh, so eloquent. Reminds me of Kyle on the podcast.
Captured his essence really well.
My number 8 is Dan Tack. I don't want you to give me that look.
You said the last one I was gonna balk at, and I actually liked it. So
okay.
This one you're really gonna hate.
Yeah, Dan Tack, you're gonna crap your dirty pants once I tell you this.
Oh, okay, I can't wait.
Number 8, Switch exclusive. I take that back. Not a Switch exclusive. Puyo Puyo Tetris.
Oh, what's that smell, Dan?
This one's a little more questionable, I think. But
I'm a real sucker for Tetris. One of my favorite games of all time. Even if it was just baseline Tetris on Switch, not too shabby. I feel like the Puyo Puyo package, having to wrap my mind around finally understanding Puyo Puyo, the fusion modes.
Pants.
Pull your pants up, as Tim Torrey would say.
I can't after that.
So, no, just also having a great competitive Tetris on the Switch. It's the most fun I've had with like multiplayer mobile Switch games this entire year. I absolutely adore this game, Dan. It's a great version of Tetris, fun version of Puyo, weird odd jobs in there, campaign. You can largely forget about that, skip the dialogue, all that stuff. But just having a Tetris game with so many options as well, choosing different music, choosing the way the shapes look. Love it. One of my favorite experiences of the year is just playing way too much competitive Puyo Puyo Tetris.
Who's your main?
I choose I don't remember her name, but she's the pretty lady who screams lipstick, and she just says forms of makeup and stuff as her taunts. It's very, very good.
Dan, I think you'd be a big fan of hers.
I mean, yeah, I guess I'll have to give that game a look when I pick up my Switch.
That's right. Any day now.
Promise me, Dan.
I promise you I'll play a game of it at least.
All right, there we go. Dan, number 7.
Number 7 is actually Hearthstone Kobolds and Kobolds and Catacombs.
Interesting.
It's the expansion. This is the best thing Hearthstone's ever done.
What?
I'm speaking strictly of the single-player content.
Yeah.
The roguelike dungeon crawl It is unbelievably fantastic, and you can play it without having to do any of the competitive aspect of the game. You don't even need any other cards. It is astonishing what they put together here.
It's
for
really good.
a roguelike single-player experience. It is just stupid good. Even if you don't play Hearthstone, I highly recommend you try it. It's like doing an old-school dungeon crawl where you get gear. You don't think of them as cards, right? You're equipping yourself with new stuff, going through, taking on bosses. It's an incredible experience, and the best single-player content they've ever done for Hearthstone ever.
So you can just do the tutorial for Hearthstone, which is very, very good.
You do have
Go
to do
right into the single-player campaign here, and you'd be set.
It's not even a campaign. You can just do it all you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I love
sweet.
deck building games where you're kind of building as you go
Yeah.
and trying to spec in certain directions that only, last for that run.
Yeah.
And it is a really great version of those. Start out with a small deck, and by the end you have one that's just full of cards you love and are super
So
overpowered.
for the other single-player content, you'd have to bring your own deck to the table, right? And sort
Okay.
of make something that can beat the boss. And this one,
Yeah.
you're building it as you play, and it's fantastic. I recommend it, even if you don't even like Hearthstone, to try it out.
I played a ton of Hearthstone when it first came out, up through that first expansion, and I loved it, and then fell off super hard.
Mm-hmm.
And it's to the point where you're like, it's hard to get back into because, like, you're just not competitive anymore.
Sure.
So, but with this, like, this is something I could jump into and play and
Yeah.
have fun.
Again, even if you don't like Hearthstone, I would recommend this. This is it's an experience.
It's free as hell.
It is.
Free as all hell.
It really is.
Wrap my mind around that. Ben Reeves, number 7.
Number 7, little game called Destiny 2.
Interesting choice, sir.
I'm a fan. I was a fan of Destiny. We've done
All
a lot
right,
of
okay,
Destiny things.
yeah.
Hey, all right, back off, man. Anyway, Destiny 2 is a fun shooter from Bungie. It's kind of like an MMO.
Is this the
You
back of the
go-
box?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
It's for 1 to 3
Activity
players.
for all moods.
It's hard to resist that like feeling of like watching the numbers go up, and Destiny is a really good game at like making you feel that like power of like, all right, my numbers went up. So, and it's a really like in terms of like shooting on a console, like Destiny 2 is probably the best shooting experience.
It sounds like you're making a case for Destiny 1. What's special about Destiny 2? Is it like the campaign above and beyond?
You like that they lied to you about which numbers were going up at what rate?
Look, it's more Destiny is why it's on
Okay.
my list.
All
And
right.
it's number 7, so it's not like the highest game.
That's fine.
But I still have fun with that game. I still like the core concept. It's still a really good game, and my helmet looks really cool.
What about Failsafe, though?
No, she's definitely deserving a spot on our Dorks of the Year list for a good reason.
Okay, take a
I did not like her at all. And what was funny is like talking to other people who are like, oh, I liked her. I'm like, all right.
Hey, Leo, do you recognize that voice?
Oh, that was kind of familiar, yeah.
That's the sound of Leo after we sarcastically watched Dumb and Dumber 2. And then he sarcastically added at the end the classic line.
I liked it.
Still works.
Good inside joke!
Yay,
All right.
you're in on it.
Leo,
Welcome.
Number 7.
Hold on. I feel like I was like super defending myself against Destiny 2, but it's a fun game.
Of course.
I had a lot of
That's
fun
what
with
we
that
do
game
here.
this
We
year.
defend our
Alright.
choices.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, yeah.
All right.
Hell yeah.
All right, Leo, go ahead.
Number 7 is Yakuza 0.
No, cool.
Yeah. It was early this year. I almost forgot it even came out this year.
Yeah.
First time playing the series, but I
Wow.
fell in love with it. The combat is so much fun and really great writing and cutscenes, really flashy, cool action cutscenes.
Wow.
And some genuinely touching moments.
Did it fit a completely different slot than Agents of Mayhem for you? As far as like it's not like a good podcasting game. It's like this one you're actually paying attention to every story beat along the way.
Yes.
Okay.
And also just because I like, the music and the sound of the hits so much. You're missing out by not having the audio on in that game. I
So
felt like.
I haven't played it, but from my understanding, it's just like a bunch of like zany stuff happening, right? Isn't that? Am I understanding this right?
There's a lot of zany stuff in that game for sure.
Okay. But you like
the
the
main
writing, like the serious like writing is actually really good on top of that.
Yes, the main story is largely pretty serious, and that's all written super well and takes some super interesting turns, I thought. But a lot of side missions is when they go totally crazy and have the characters just doing banana stuff. You're playing a claw game 10 times in a row to win something for a little girl.
All right.
Just weird fun writing.
Wow. Are you like a Shenmue fan? Is there any precedent for you liking this stuff?
Not really. I don't
Okay.
think so.
Have you been to Japan?
No. Well, by the time this podcast comes out, I'll be in Japan.
Hell yeah.
Whoa!
That's
Whoa,
awesome.
whoa. You shill.
My
Great country.
Every game.
My number 7 is Horizon Zero Dawn. There we go.
Good
Overlap.
choice.
Dan
Wait,
Tack.
what?
Yeah.
What?
We're having some overlap.
Oh,
That's
for
great.
some reason I thought you listed that last time. That was Dan.
No,
Okay.
he likes
You know-
it so much as his 10 and his 7.
What is this?
What I think is really cool is we've had like extreme diversity on these lists this year.
About
We're
time.
all about diversity here.
Right. But I meant like the picks haven't had a ton of overlap. I know that'll change as we get higher, but
Yeah,
it's just neat to see.
absolutely. You know what else is neat to see? Dan Tack's number 6.
All right, here we go. It's a little game we call Cuphead.
But
Yes. Now, I didn't think it was a perfect game by any stretch. It did kind of get frustrating at times. Like, you didn't feel like you were making progress. You just hit A at the wrong time, and you mentally just do it over and over again until it clicks in your brain, and the fight happens. But I thought, like, artistically and musically, all that stuff, like, the audio-visual experience was just worth the ticket completely. Like, I was just, for the majority of that game, I was just like, wow, this is really great. Like, just, I didn't even care that I was getting destroyed, right? Like, it was just like, wow, I hope that mermaid kills me again because this fight is amazing. I wonder what else she's going to pull out of the water.
Sacrifice myself to the mermaid. Are you a big fan of, like, the Mega Man style, old school?
I was a big fan of old school Mega Man.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. So this is a little bit up your alley.
Yeah, I'd say that.
Mugman.
Mugman.
Be honest. Is it, who's better, Cuphead or Mugman?
Mugman.
Yeah.
Easy.
Hey. But King Dice is actually better than any other character in that game. So
King Dice. That's great.
You said Mega Man, but actually it reminded me of Gunstar Heroes more than anything else.
Yeah.
Which is another really great game if you like those kind of like side-scrolling shooters.
Yeah, I know they reference it as a big influence too. Gunstar Heroes. Great choice, Dan Tack.
thank you.
Hey, Ben Reeves, number 6.
Number 6, Pyre.
Pyre came
Yeah.
out in 2017.
Yeah.
Did you
that
mean
was
to
a
write?
shooter.
Did you mean to write Prey?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Sorry, Prey.
Oh, okay, got it.
No, I really liked Pyre. It's if you haven't heard about it, it's a sports game, but it's like set in a fantasy world, and it's basically like you're in this like weird purgatory reality, and you're trying to send your characters back to Earth or back to reality, and you have to do that by winning these rights, which are basically like games of basketball in a sense, where you're trying to move the sphere across the board and put it in it's not a hoop, but a goal.
And if you've never heard of the game, Reeves is just making all this up.
Yeah, there's no game
Spirit
called
basketball
Pyre. What are you
game.
thinking?
He's just waiting to get called out. Yeah, do you feel like underappreciated overall this year?
Yeah, you know what? Because I played it a lot and liked it.
Well then.
No, because I think people appreciated it who played it. I actually really liked the sports aspect to it, and I'm like a huge sports game guy, but I liked the basic mechanics of that gameplay. And then later on top of that is like a cool story where you actually get to know the characters pretty well. It's kind of RPG elements where you level up your characters and get really attached to them. But then if you win the tournament, you get to send one home. And so you want to send the guy who you've grown an emotional attachment to home, but at the same time, he's like probably one of your better players. So it's an interesting dynamic of making that choice.
Yeah, great choice. Hey,
Yeah,
Leo,
great job.
number 6.
My number 6 is the Sexy Brutale.
Sexy Brutale itself. Dan Tack it seems to be having some sort of facial reaction.
Well, I heard a lot about the game in the office, not from Leo, but from the reviewer over here. And
Ben Reeves.
there were some definitely contentious issues
I
that
did
kept me
happen
away
to
from
review
playing
that
it.
game.
What did you give it?
I think I gave it a 6 something.
Okay.
Holy, so did Leo.
Okay.
Different kind of 6.
Yeah,
Number 6 in your games of the year.
6D. You.
We're having fun.
I am curious to hear why you liked it so much.
Let me put this in terms we can all understand. You guys ever play the Saw video game?
Wow.
No.
Why on earth would we do that?
I thought that game was really interesting. Obviously, far from perfect, but it was like a puzzle game with super high stakes, where if you didn't solve the puzzle in time with that constant timer beating down on you, your character would die horrifically.
Yeah.
It sounds like some 999 level stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
It Saw. Like, oh,
It's
God.
it's kind of like the movie Saw.
Yeah, kind of.
Oh, okay. I saw that one, yeah.
Sexy Brutale struck a lot of those same notes for me, because you'd walk into an area and people would be about to die in a horrible way, and you'd have to figure out what the puzzle was and how to achieve it in time. And I had some really tense moments because there are such cool setups for deaths. There's one where this one guy is trying to steal this egg, and his hands get stuck on it because he's in this death trap, and his friend's like screaming trying to get him out, and I'm just sprinting around because I know what I have to do. I just don't know if I'll be able to do it in time, and that clock is just ticking on you. It was a really cool feeling.
I think you just like Saw a lot. Like, that's what this sounds like.
I actually don't.
Hold on. I have no idea.
Okay.
Sexy Brutale. Reeves, what didn't you like about this game? Why is Leo wildly incorrect?
I thought it was a really cool idea in concept, but I thought the execution wasn't there. So I thought it was a better idea in concept than execution. And it's fairly repetitive, I thought, where I ran into the situation where Leo ran into several times over and over again, and it didn't complete the puzzle in time. So you had to basically start the day over. It's kind of a Groundhog's Day setup where you relive the same day over and over again, and you're trying to save all these people. But if you don't do it, you have to kind of relive most of that day over again. You can kind of skip ahead 3 hours at a time, but it still takes a while to get back to where you want to be.
Also, the story's very good, I thought.
Really?
In my personal opinion, you can find my review of the Sexy Brutale.
You don't actually need to
Games I've done
clarify your
for
personal
kids.
opinion. It's all our personal opinions.
Hey, baby, you can't be wrong. All
6
right.
out of 10.
Number 6. Number 6. This is tough.
Yeah, we're getting when we hit the top 5, that's where things really change.
Yeah,
That's
so
when things go
we're
wild.
certainly not there yet. Number 6, a lot of swapping. Giving it to What Remains of Edith Finch.
Oh.
Coming in at number 6. We've
That's-
talked about it a lot on this podcast in the underappreciated game section not too long ago. But again, in the walking sim genre that people don't like to talk about as a genre, the absolute best. Just having that much variety in the gameplay, some great moments in there. Creative as all hell. A short, compact, awesome little story experience. Loved it.
So I've got this on my list quite a bit higher than
Oh.
6. And yeah, I have to say, like, I typically do not enjoy the walking sim genre. I think it's most of the time it's extremely boring and it's not compelling because I think it'd be better served in a story or some other kind of format and not a video game.
Yeah.
But this one really nailed it. Like, it's an interactive experience, that I don't really find myself gravitating toward these titles, but I could not put that game down. It's tight, it's smart, and it uses like the experiences to tell the story in such a like great way. It's not just like talking at you. You're in it, right?
Yeah, and it's such a weird mix too because variety in video games is inherently expensive or more complicated. And not to say that walking simulators are easy by any stretch of the imagination, but there is a certain budget factor to a lot of the most popular,
Sure.
walking sim games. And the fact that this one mirrors that with so much variety that doesn't control like absolute ass.
Oh, yeah.
That's very impressive.
Yeah, I can't say enough good things about that game. It's
Every,
it's one of my best games of the year, and it's just a fantastic experience. And
It's only, 3 hours or so?
yeah, I'd say
Yeah.
around 3 hours. 3 hours
But
if you
it's
like.
totally worth it.
Yeah.
Just sit down and you can play it in one sitting and have a really good time.
Stand up, you can play in one sitting.
Stand up, sit down, stand up, get an exercise in while you're playing.
Lay down, you can
Absolutely.
play in one standing.
Yeah, Leo's a great point. So stand up. Let's put our hands together for What Remains of Edith Finch. All right, Dan Tack, the coveted number 5 spot.
Number
now we're
5.
into make or break territory.
We are. Number 5 is Neo.
Ah,
Just an incredible. Like, this is like having like a peanut butter ice cream cake or something crazy together. Like, it's got randomized Diablo style loot and really tight, great action combat. Crazy Japanese demons. It's like, wow, this game. Give me this game again, and again and again and again.
don't stop, sir.
Seriously, a great game, and I'd recommend it to anybody who's looking for like a challenging action RPG.
Yeah, it came out on Steam. Did you check out that version as
I
well?
have not played the PC version.
Ah, but
I have
it's
not had
good,
time to go
right?
back.
People are saying the port's all right.
I honestly could not tell you.
Okay, but you played PS4.
Yes.
So PS4 or Steam is what's available.
Came
on
out much
now.
earlier in the year, so it kind of got pushed aside.
Yeah.
Like I think it was February or something like that. It was early in the year.
Definitely is one of those games. Yeah, I was talking to people about the favorite games of the year recently, and people brought up Neo, and it's like, oh yeah, I don't
Mhm.
know, maybe it's just on this podcast hasn't come up that much in the last couple months, but don't overlook it.
Yeah.
That's
I
all
heard
I'm
Neo
saying.
is the one.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
God.
yeah. Coming for the sequel, Neo Automata. Ben
Automa.
Reeves, number 5.
Number 5 is number 7. Resident Evil 7, that is.
Hey, mama!
Hey.
I'm gonna put you in this
Stay
car. See?
tuned, yeah. It was a really fun game that I liked playing. I'm a big fan of the Resident Evil series, but I have definitely not enjoyed the last few entries
Where do you
as
stand on
much.
Revelations?
Revelations was a step in the right direction,
Okay.
and I think this is even a bigger step in the right direction, where it kind of like goes back to the roots of Resident Evil in an interesting way, while changing the series at the same time, because it's first person, which I thought was an interesting direction for that. And I think it works because it is probably like the creepiest Resident Evil I've ever played at moments.
Really?
Yeah. There were some. Did you play through the whole thing?
Not the whole thing.
Okay. There's some moments where you're playing through where you're like, man, this is really intense, actually.
You're not a VR guy, right?
I'm not. I have played moments of that in VR. I hear it's even crazier, scary in VR.
Yeah.
And that's the way to play, obviously, if you have VR.
Do
And
you-
probably the only reason to play VR. So,
Do you feel like that's a game that got its due this year?
that's a good question. It was so early in the year where I think people have kind of forgotten about it by now, especially for top 10 lists.
Yeah.
And I think it's really good. I hope it sold well. I think horror fans should definitely play it. So if you got to like the Halloween season and you're like, I need a good horror game to play, hopefully that was what you turn to, because it's definitely like finding the item in an environment, taking that and using that to unlock this area. Like that whole mechanic of the original Resident Evils is
Yeah.
there, but it's more compelling than it was in the original Resident Evils. I
Yeah.
think it's really good. It's
Can
the
I
best
tell
Resident
you-
Evil in years.
A 100% true thing.
Yeah.
my old YouTube channel, to plug it again, this YouTube channel I don't work on anymore.
Oh, Christ. Here we go.
Episode of My Cody Report about Resident Evil 7. I gave it a 5 out of 10.
Whoa!
Oh, he's sexy brutality!
Mathematically, the sexy
this is
brutality
getting brutal
is a
in
better
here.
game. Mathematically speaking.
Mathematically.
What didn't you like
man.
about it, Leo?
I didn't like the start or the end. I thought
Or
the
the
middle
stuff in
were some
between.
great, good few hours.
What about, without spoiling anything, just gameplay, story? What are we talking about?
Yeah, I didn't like how in the start it was constantly shifting between like, should I be using my bullets or am I just wasting them and it's pretending that I can do anything to this boss when I'm really supposed to be running away? I found a lot of that stuff frustrating. And then in the end when the plot kind of doubled back on itself and became a lot less interesting to me.
Sure. I'll agree with you at the end. The end, I don't think they nailed it. But man, the beginning, I actually really liked the beginning. I thought the beginning was kind of the more interesting stuff because it was like more survival horror-y than anything
Sure.
else.
Yeah, when you were just opened up exploring the house and the land around it, that was my favorite part.
Yeah.
Leo, prove Reeves wrong by listing a good number 5.
You want to hear a good number 5?
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to come. This guy has been reckless endangerment all day
Wildcat.
here. Yeah.
Resident Evil 7's alternate title, Night in the Woods.
Aha! Interesting. Night in the house. Night in the woods. Number 5.
Well, that's a whopper.
That's good. that show was the funniest show
A
of the
little
year.
reference for you guys who played that.
Hell yeah.
What struck to you? What,
Great writing, great music. I still listen to that soundtrack.
Yeah.
Only game that's ever approximated being in a band for me. And that was very nostalgic, those
Haphazard
sequences.
practices of
Yes,
button
and
presses randomly.
Yes. And
Yeah.
she was so rusty and not even very, especially good at the bass.
I
It
would
was
say
very real.
Greg is easily one of my favorite characters of the year. Just like you meet him for the first time, he's wearing cups on his ears. Like, all right, I'm sold. That's all you got to do to make a character lovable.
Yeah.
So if
that's
I
when
get
knew
Scott
it'd
from
be number
HQ
5.
to put cups on his ears, maybe
Yes.
he'll be able to squeeze in for that top 10 dorks
Character
list.
of the year.
Yeah. Also, fun fact that I repeated in the office 6,000 times, but I think it's on the Giant Beast cast. One of the creators of Night in the Woods talked about how Greg was fully based on one person from this Judge Judy episode. And so if you look on YouTube for Judge Judy best ending ever, he's the guy who says, "Love smashing things, gotta say we do." It's very good. It's very good if you're a fan of Night in the
I
Woods.
think Jeff Cork has a clip.
Jeff Cork doesn't know how to operate that kind of machinery.
Oh dear.
Okay.
Deer in
yes,
the headlights.
absolutely, Night in the Woods. I say it too much, but it's the best Scott Pilgrim game I've ever played. Forget that brawler. Like, it just has such a good vibe of just hanging out with friends. It's funny. It gets dark. Ending goes off the rails a little bit too much for my likes, but I like the more grounded approach of just effed up teenagers, people in their early 20s, just getting back to the small town and trying to hang out. I feel like it's so unique, and not to mention that it looks absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, just the neighborhood, just beautiful. I love that you had to just, run a couple blocks every day,
Yeah,
and you would just run past people, and what they'd be doing would be changing, the seasons would be changing. It was a really great atmosphere.
yeah, so unique. Great choice. Good job, Leo.
Ah, thanks, man.
Come on, man. Number 5, a game that I was not a fan of out of the gate and ended up winning me over very hard. South Park: The Fractured But Whole. Ben Reeves, you remember this one?
Oh,
I played a couple hours of it. It was like, man, I hate this tactical combat. Not digging it. The story is not getting out of the gate with a clear thread here. To some extent, maybe because it was gutted and scenes that were going to be in the beginning of the game ended up being in the show this season.
That's super weird.
It was a mess. But after that hurdle, I got into a groove and just completely fell in love with, yes, I just love a good, relatively simplistic RPG, just that goes for it with a wacky, funny story, tons of personality in there. And the story ended up becoming surprisingly focused, much more so than Stick of Truth, which I also absolutely loved. But Stick of Truth, it was like a lot of, here's a little one-off. Now you're abducted by aliens. Now you're going to go over here. Now you're going to go over here.
Yeah.
Whereas Fractured But Whole, I was struck by like, holy cow, this is like a 15-hour South Park story that's actually maintaining focus, which is just unthinkable. And
I wonder
there's,
if it's because they took like 2 years to write it and they just kept writing.
I don't
But a
know.
word a
something,
day.
Right?
Yeah,
That's
a
right.
word a day, I
You
think.
just add one word a day. It adds up, man.
Yeah, and I feel weird having it as number 5 because you spend a lot of that game in combat, and I still was not super into the combat by the end. I know a lot of people liked it. It didn't convert me into a fan of tactical RPGs. I just can't do it. But there's still so much fun in those battles, especially boss battles. I feel like there's a
Yeah.
lot of creative twists in there.
The boss battles were more interesting. I am a fan of tactical RPGs, and like this combat still didn't quite do it for me.
Yeah.
I think I preferred the Mario Paper Mario style
course, yeah,
action
yeah.
from the first game, and I think I prefer that first South Park game as a whole a little bit better.
Yeah.
Just because like start to finish, it felt like smoother and like it was hitting on all cylinders more consistently than this one did.
Yeah.
But this one has some really strong moments and really funny parts.
Yes, some really, really great moments. Not going to spoil anything, but like there's some pretty classic South Parky stuff where it's like, okay, celebrity cameo, this whole thing. But there's one moment in that game, we talked about it in our top 10 moments discussion, where it's like, I don't think I've ever seen South Park get so dark. And that says a lot. Like beyond Scott Tenorman, beyond all that stuff, it was just a holy F. Like it is crazy that they went to this place, and it's absolutely fascinating. I really, really enjoyed
South
that
Park
game.
was my number 11. I wish I could have
Oh, really?
made it on there, but
All right. Dan Tack, number 4.
Number 4 is this really cool game called What Remains of Edith Finch.
Hey!
Go
good
play
game.
it. Go play it.
Go play it.
Go play it.
My number, we're on 4, right?
got
Is
it.
XCOM 2 War of the Chosen.
Hey!
It's the expansion to last year's XCOM 2, which is, I still think probably the best strategy game out there.
Dan Tack?
Definitely my favorite.
Dan
The best
Tack?
strategy game out there, and like what content? Like forever?
Chess?
Yes, forever.
Like I mean, like just what is the scope here? What in a year or like in 10
Well,
years?
definitely
5
of
years?
last year. I think in a long time, Dan. What else you got?
I mean, Civ, you know,
Bring
like
it.
not a Civ 6 lover there at all.
Firaxis. Screw those guys.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
No, yeah. We don't need to compare it to other games. I'll just say, like, in terms of like strategy, where you're managing a crew of dudes, like you're moving around the
What is it
battlefield.
with you and dudes?
The dudes are
love
coming around. We're
dudes.
singing a song. There's just dudes. They come in.
You take out
Guys
these,
being dudes.
you take out
What's
these
better than
alien
this?
dudes. I just, in terms of the sheer amount of like things you can do with your dudes, like they have so much like
Do the
different
dudes.
abilities and weapons, and like your back is always to the wall because it's a pretty challenging game, but
Yeah.
you always have so many options at your disposal that I love figuring out how to like work my way out of a jam.
And having those celebrity aliens, I think is the best way to phrase it. You feel like changes up the overall flow and structure of the campaign.
Oh yeah, I didn't even talk about like what's special about this. Yeah,
Correct.
like they have the Chosen, which are like the 3 new aliens that come in,
Yeah.
and they are recurring characters, and they're harder than any other enemy, so it is even more rewarding when you finally take them down for good. And it's kind of fun to have that like vendetta. It's definitely inspired by the Nemesis system.
Yeah.
And they do a really good job of incorporating that concept into this game. And
Yeah.
then there's new factions, which are really awesome and do like break the game in ways that are just awesome.
XCOM 2 was super hard. I've heard
You could play it on easy.
maybe I
Do
was.
the
And-
Wolfenstein.
I really am terrible at strategy games. I listened to the 3 Moves Ahead podcast, which is a very smart strategy podcast, and they were talking about XCOM 2, the way that the overworld works, or what would you call that, strategy level?
So
Yeah.
it's-
Strategy layer. And even War of the Chosen, they compared it to like a inbox simulator, where it's just constantly flickering these messages on, like, hey, over here, hey, over here, hey, over here. And I never got the hang of that even in base XCOM
Yeah.
2. It always just felt unsatisfying to always just be pinged, like, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. It's like, just give me a couple options here and let me forge a path. But just this constant poke of like, hey, look out, hey, look out.
Yeah, I can see that. I think it takes a while for you to get the flow of like, okay, what do I need to do? You need to like have a sense of like, what do I need to focus on? And the idea was to throw more at you than you can do. So there's more options and you have to make choices.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Okay. All right. Awesome.
I like good games though.
Yeah.
That's just-
And
That's
just to be
interesting.
clear, do you have to own the base game?
Somebody called me out on this. I think you can just buy that game and it all comes in one package. I think they sell a version of that.
Okay. Some sort of version of that.
Yeah.
All right. Prove him wrong, people.
Prove
Waste
me
your
wrong.
money. Leo Vader.
Hi. My number 4 is Drop Mix.
What?
Yeah.
Dude,
What?
Here we go. Dan
Yeah.
Tack's, Dan Tack's riled up down there. You can see him.
That's a toy, right? Do we count that?
That's
Yeah,
the
toys
thing.
are games.
All right. Well, can I bring my robot friend out here?
Is he
does
effing
count?
cool?
Yeah.
Cool.
I keep telling you to bring your robot friend in because nobody believes you that he's real.
I love you, Dan.
See,
Oh,
he's
there
right-
he is.
There you go.
Oh, where are all those lipstick marks all over your robot
He's
friend?
got a good beard.
Drop Mix, the Harmonix's little card toy game.
Yes. You've
That's
got
badass.
this portal, this long portal. You've got these cards with different pieces of different songs. You put them down, it automatically mixes them together. You can hit the button, it'll remix it into a new key, a new tempo. You can make some amazing songs and save them and listen to them to whatever, which is what I do a lot.
Yeah.
It's really fun. And we talked about that. It may be technically not being a game
Right.
during the
That's
game of the year.
that's my only qualm with this. I think it probably is sweet, right? But like,
So sweet.
we don't do like Simon Says machines or other.
It's
like,
not, but to be fair,
To say my piece about
Yeah.
that subject, I feel like it is a game in the way that a Toys to Life thing is a game. You've got
It's
the
an interactive thing.
Portal peripheral. You've got the things you put on it. It needs the game to work, even though it's on your phone.
it runs. I mean, the game is on the phone. You know, it's not like it's in this light up peripheral necessarily. It's just where you place the things.
Right. It's just a Bluetooth device that sends the signal.
It's as interactive as Tacoma was.
Oh.
Wait, are you telling me Tacoma's not on your guys' list?
Look, we all love Tacoma in our own way.
Yeah, we did.
We're only going up to number 1 is why it's not on mine.
You know what? We brought it up in the discussion.
We did.
That's all right. Anyways, Leo, I think that's a very interesting choice. And so, where does like the freestyle nonsense, which is fun, compare to the actual like game that they try and get you to play?
Now this is interesting
Please go on.
because the first time I played it was at your place.
Yeah.
We did purely freestyle, and I
For
had a
hours,
blast
yeah.
for hours, and I bought it based on that alone.
Wow.
And then when I got it, I did freestyle. I had a friend over who was interested. We did freestyle. We're like, let's try out this Clash competitive mode, and it was immediately the only thing we ever played after that.
Oh.
Wow.
Wait,
Okay,
how
so
does that
that's
work?
that's the 1v1?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, how's it competitive?
So you've each got your decks, which
Okay.
they have pre-made ones, but you can make your own. And there's a deck builder built in.
Okay.
You can build a whole stack of 30 cards, set it on the reader. It'll read all of them and count how
What?
much power. And
That's
stuff.
awesome.
Yeah, what color they are. So you can build a good mana curve like Hearthstone.
Hold on. This sounds like
Mana
a
curve.
game.
It's really it's a really fun game, and I don't know if anybody knows about it, but we were just 1v1ing over and over again, building different decks, or just we had one pile and we were just drawing randomly. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and
I've
made
done-
some great tracks.
I've played the party mode. Is that completely different? Do you think that's
Yes.
the lesser of the modes?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, because that one seemed okay as a game.
Yeah, it's totally fun palate cleanser. After you
Yeah.
get used to competitive, it becomes very easy. Party mode does.
Okay.
But competitive, there's like it does remind me of Hearthstone in the simplest ways of you're doing basic math and setting up combos. And those are the two satisfying card game things for me. And I love to do it.
I heard a rumor that you bought so many cards for drop mix on Amazon that Amazon actually locked you out of your account, I believe. Deleted your account. What did it do? What? It's true. What is it?
I bought a quantity of 3 booster packs, which was the maximum quantity you could buy. I got them. Loved them. Let me buy some more. I put 3 in my cart and said, you can't order that many. We changed the quantity for you. They changed it to 0.
Wait, so Amazon's like, nobody buys this many packs? This must be...
I have no idea.
Guys, bring back net neutrality.
Uh,
Anyways,
what?
I don't know.
There you go, drop mix.
It's
Totally
a cool choice.
game.
And I'm sure it was on sale like crazy over Thanksgiving. So I'd imagine over a Christmas break or even beyond that, that it might be a little bit cheaper than the $100 base price, which is a lot.
Yes, I don't know why they made it. It's doomed to fail, but it's very, very fun. Yeah.
Oh.
My number 4 is Night in the Woods.
Hey!
Hey!
Hey, look at that.
Dan Tack. Number 3.
Hey, number 3. We're getting into the big ones here.
Here we
the heavy
go.
hitters.
Big fish.
Number 3 for my list is a game that I have not finished.
You
What
poser
is this?
ass poser.
Number 3 and you haven't finished it.
Just
That's right.
lie.
Oh, no, I like to full disclosure, you know. So it's Persona 5.
Well, nobody's finished
Yeah,
that.
that's
It doesn't have an
impossible.
ending.
Yeah,
This game
why didn't
is,
you just lead with that?
Despite me only being a mere 80 hours in, it is an incredible game. Just one of the best JRPGs I've ever played.
Are you past
ever.
like the opening title sequence then, or
80 hours? Yeah, you get a little bit past that.
okay?
The title
So I
card.
still have like 30 to 40 hours to go, depending on who you talk to, and I'm gonna get to it someday.
You won't.
I have to.
You won't. I bet next year we will not have finished that game. It is so stupidly, brutally long.
It is, but I never felt like that's one of the, to speak to its strength. I never felt like, oh, I have to stop playing now. It was just like I was just.
Except you did.
I got overloaded, man.
Okay.
I had just so
Yeah.
much stuff to do.
Dan Tack does review a ton of long games
That's true.
here.
That's true.
And yeah, for every style, art, everything, just the
Amazing.
system. Yeah, it really is.
All right,
Just
let's go.
incredible game.
Here, let's break it down. You tell me best Persona or no. Those
Yeah,
are your
it
two
is the
op-
best Persona.
Okay, but let me break it down here. Art.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, your options are best Persona and no. Okay, right?
Okay, gotcha.
Art.
Yeah.
Best Persona.
Music.
Best Persona.
Why do we play this every week?
Characters.
This is
Not
better than drop
no.
mix.
Oh, going with no.
No on that
Wait,
one.
which characters? Was no?
Best
I
characters.
was only allowed to respond
I
Best
just wanted to
Persona
know what
or
the category
No,
was.
no, for the rest of the podcast, Dan.
no. Okay, we could do that. Yeah.
Now, what's
let's
your
do it.
number 2?
Okay, Overwatch.
Okay, just as off the rest. All right, no, Persona 5. It's a great choice. I'm glad.
Yes,
it's
it
represented
is.
Here.
Go
And
play that game. It's really great.
It is. Yeah, you got to see it. You should start that game. It's a stunning work of art.
It is a daunting task to get through, but
Yeah.
you're never going to feel like you're, I want to stop
Finished.
playing. It's,
Yeah.
it's crazy good.
Ben Reeves, best Persona.
Yes.
Right?
Number 3 is Metroid: Samus Returns.
Ah,
Little game called Metroid, the game that we've been begging for 10 years. And Nintendo finally gave it to us and then lit up the charts. Like, everybody can't stop talking about it.
Nintendo gave it to us, and it's like when the waiter comes around asking if you want dessert. It's like, I can't. I'm a little busy.
I have not heard a thud that loud. And it's just interesting how many people on staff are just huge Metroid fans and how many of them have not played this game. But it is an amazing game. And I think the fact that they announced it and like, hey, it's a new Metroid game. It's a remake, and people checked out immediately.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And
I think that
cannot-
hurt
Two
them a lot.
factors. I think not only was it because it was a remake, but also because it was on 3DS.
Yeah.
Those are
Right.
Two big.
Sure. I cannot stress enough that the remake thing is not a thing. Like, this is in every way other than name, and even in the name is different. It is not a remake. It feels like so
Well,
much of a new.
They were lying to
experience.
us.
It feels. What I'm trying to say is, it's so much of it is new, and it's such a new experience that even if you played that original Game Boy 2 game yesterday, you should still play this game because it's good. It's a new Metroid game, and it's everything you want in a Metroid game.
And if you cherish Metroid, you should cherish this release and let Nintendo know how you feel about it.
Exactly. You should probably say, "Hey, Nintendo, I like this game. Thank you for making this. Please make
Yeah.
more."
'Cause honestly,
I
I-
bought this one.
I heard a rumor. I seriously, hand to God, heard this rumor that if not enough people buy Metroid: Samus Returns, they're going to turn Metroid Prime 4 into a Rabbids game.
What?
I heard that.
Whoa.
I heard that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Exclusive.
So that's a kind of a heck of a rumor.
All right, Leo Vader, number 3.
Hey. Okay. Very personal list. Number 3 is Sniper Elite 4. I did not get into the other games in the series. This game I got into this year, and was the most fun I had. Some of the most fun.
Hold on. Was this a joke?
No. What?
Leo, you're normally pretty funny. There's nothing funny about putting Sniper Elite 4.
This
as
game's
number
incredible.
Did that even come out this year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a real game? It sounds
Oh,
like
I remember that.
3
Yeah,
generic
that's-
words
yeah.
smashed together.
Okay.
Oh my god, it's so good. It's got amazing co-op.
Holy
Look, hang on. Hey, back off, you jackals. I'm going to defend fellow
All right.
video guy Leo here.
Yeah, you do
This
that.
is why I invited him on this podcast, because we knew he was going to have some oddball choices. The rest of these have been oddball, terrible choices, and this is yet another, and we're going to defend it, because this is how he feels in his heart.
What have
All
I
right.
done?
All right. Sniper Elite V4 Part 3.
Did anybody play it?
I was too busy playing Super Combat Fighter to Third Strike.
I did not know that's
Yeah.
how we felt about this.
All right, help me out. Is this one of those World War II sniping things?
Yeah.
Okay.
Except it's set in Italy, an unconventional setting for a World War II game. Beautiful locale,
Okay.
amazing environments, very sandboxy. Play your way, lots of optional objectives, lots of hidden secrets.
And in
Great
a year,
gunplay.
in a year where you also went back to Hitman so much, do you feel like it's kind of filling that Hitman itch for this year for you?
It totally reminded me of Hitman.
Okay.
With just if Hitman was like more focused on gunplay, I guess more like Absolution, except with the giant sandboxy levels of the latest Hitman.
Yeah. What about multiplayer? I really care about this because the idea of sniper battles I just adore. And I know that in previous games in this series they had cool multiplayer where you could like one-on-one have sniping battles. Is that in this case?
Yeah, there's good multiplayer. I didn't play that much of it. I focused mostly on the co-op when I was playing multiplayer, but
Oh,
there is
yeah?
competitive modes.
Wow. All right. What's
Yeah.
the name again?
Sniper Elite 4.
Reeves, will you turn that frown upside down?
You can play any mission co-op, and there's special co-op only missions, and it's just super fun.
I think Brian Shea reviewed that for us. And I think he said I'd rather suck my own poop out of my butt than play any more of that. I think was his exact phrase.
I think he gave
Yeah.
it 2.
Brian Shea, owner of everyone's favorite opinions.
No. That's cool. I know he thought it was pretty solid. So
Oh, great.
awesome choice.
Thank you.
Number 3, Super Mario Odyssey. It's gotta make it on this list.
That's a really good choice.
Odyssey, Super Mario Odyssey. What could you possibly say about this game that hasn't been said before? Wonderful levels, wonderful vibes through and through. You can pick up that game. I can't imagine a human being in the world, let alone at this table, that could play Super Mario Odyssey and not just be whisked away by the fun and delight and potential and just healing aura surrounding positive video games experience, right?
You'd have to be a monster.
Leo Vader, spotlight's on you, baby.
No, don't want to dwell on negativity. Everybody loved it.
Leo prefers not to play Super Mario Odyssey. The only person in the universe.
Well, I think I think we're learning what kind of person Leo is as we go down his list.
It's no
so
Sniper Elite 8. No, come on. What? I know what you're not.
Good burn saying 8 instead of 4.
Yeah. You're not a hater, but what didn't capture your imagination about Mario Odyssey?
Just to get into negativity for a little bit.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, let's do it. I was hoping there would be more of the segmented little challenges and that the transformations would be more significant. You know, the character, what you do as each character would be more interesting. But
Instead of just having one little mechanic?
Exactly.
Okay.
And also, I didn't find the controls to be very precise, and I didn't like the motion controls.
Wow.
I understand.
Again, I need to try it again with the Pro Controller, though.
Yeah, maybe
which I don't have.
The make or break for you.
Yeah.
I
hope all the people that emailed me about Nier Automata now email you about Super Mario Odyssey.
I know how dumb I am.
Yeah.
I'll say, just to back you up, Super Mario Odyssey is a good game. And
finally,
it's like joy distilled into a product. And it's like every moment of that game, it's like not skipping a beat. Like there's always something fun to do around every corner. Like I love exploring those worlds. Like I loved getting all those moons, because even for the dumbest, littlest objective, you're rewarded with the moon and it feels good. And you're like, yes. And the little 2D sections are fun. Like they're not super hard, but they're kind of fun diversions.
Yeah.
And then when you beat the game, there's a whole nother game you still can play. Go collect way more moons, way more stuff, unlock a new area with a harder challenge. Yeah, it's a blast.
More potent than heroin, as Ben Reeves said.
That's
repeatedly into a microphone.
I kept melting it down, injecting it straight into my veins.
There we go. Dan Tack, number 2 territory, man.
Yeah, number 2. We're getting here.
Toot.
This is a big one. This is a big one and a big game, and it's really close to being my number 1.
You should build it up longer.
I sure will. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
Oh!
Yeah, this game is freaking incredible.
Number 2.
Yeah, and I've been trying to think about, one of the reasons, besides just being awesome in general, but one of the reasons I think it's so incredible is just sort of the dynamic nature of the game. Every game is different. You never know where you're going to land. You never know what you're going to get first. You never know who you're going to fight. It's all on the fly, and it's all just legendary from the highs to the lows. The one game where you get completely suited and booted in the first minute, and then you don't see anybody for 10 minutes and you get shot in the head.
Love it.
That happens. But then there's also games where you're riding around with your friends in the car and just accidentally stumble upon another team. Just everybody jumps out of the car and there's this huge firefight, cinematic style. Oh,
it's
gosh,
crazy
it's good.
How it always feels wild. And I like the way my character looks now. I'm not roped in for a sense of progression in the least. Okay, I guess I'll get a new t-shirt. I really don't care. It's just wild that a game this simple can keep me coming back and keep players coming back around the world again and again and again for such a simple concept, but it's always fascinating.
No, it's crazy because when you mentioned it, when I'm playing Overwatch, in the back of my mind, I'm always oh, okay, I'm going to get a skin soon. In this game, I could care less. I just want to get in the next game.
It's really fun, Dan. I recommend you do this at some point, to go back and listen to our first conversation earlier this year about PUBG.
Oh, man.
Because there was a lot of confusion about what is this? And then I remember bugging you is this the best Battle Royale game? You're I'm not going to say. But now it's fun that the full evolution, after spending so many more hours with you're blown away.
Not only that, it was more hours. It has come quite a long ways from where it was.
Not an Xbox, but yes, absolutely. No, in some ways an Xbox.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We're weeks out right now.
Yeah.
We hope.
Dan, since we're recording this in the past, we don't know your review score for PUBG.
It is a hearty 9.5.
Hey!
Heart healthy.
There we go.
And it did suffer a little bit in the analysis, but even though these moments are awesome, they can, they're not part of the game. When you're in a car and it flips, and then all of a sudden you just literally start spinning into the stratosphere and off the map. That can happen.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious, but hey, maybe you wanted to play that game out.
Right. A lot of janky love in there.
Yeah.
Leo, how many hours have you put into PUBG this year, do you think?
120, I think, is the last count.
Oh my god.
Oh my
And you're a squad guy?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you serious about it? Seems like you're a little more militant in your squad than most players.
Sometimes.
Yeah,
we throw around a tango or two.
A niner?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that game's an absolute blast.
How many times
It's my number
say-
2 as well, I'll just say.
Baby make 3. How many times do you say that?
Every third kill.
Oh, nice. Okay. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. Is there one moment that stands out to you as like your favorite PUBG moment of the year?
One of my many wins.
Oh, really? How
In
many
squads?
chicken dinners you have?
I've had like 6 or 7 in
What?
squads and
Wow.
2 in duos.
Jeez, bring it down to the orphanage. Feed
You're
some
getting
kitties
full?
with all those dinners.
Yeah.
My God.
Is that a reference to something, the chicken dinner?
The movie 21.
They get chicken dinners at the end of it?
They have chicken dinner.
No, I'm
I think
just
it's a
serious.
saying in like poker, I think.
Because there's like
That's
a
where I first heard it.
comic, right? Where like he goes like an epic battle royale and then they get turkey dinners at the end of that. So I thought maybe it was a reference to that.
Yeah. You want to hear
But-
something confusing? Hang on a second.
Okay.
Lila. I was at a food truck recently, and when they're like, "All right, Ben," I went up to the food truck, got my food, and the chef goes, "Winner, winner, chicken dinner." And I grabbed my food, and I was wearing like some sort of gaming T-shirt. I forget what it is, but that's all I own. And it's just this moment where I was like, "PUBG fan?" It's like, "What?" It's like, "PUBG, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds." I don't know what you're saying right now. I was like, why did you say winner, winner, chicken dinner? He's like, it's just what people say. I was like, I know it's a phrase, but to say that in the year 2017, being a younger person and have no concept of what PUBG is weird, right?
It's from when you get comped at a casino.
Yeah, casino.
Is that
Yeah.
right?
For the buffet, yeah.
Wait, this when you get comped? I thought it was when you won something at it.
Well, you did win, so they're like, hey, we want to keep you playing and make you enjoy your time here.
So when they eat you at a casino?
That's
no,
right.
they give you a chicken dinner, more or less.
Ah, crazy. I'm sorry, Leo.
Hmm.
Story of the year, you're going to say.
Why isn't it a steak dinner? Like, let's be
Will you
honest.
stop,
Wouldn't we
Leo?
rather have a
Story of the
steak
year!
dinner?
Chicken's a bit healthier for the heart.
Okay.
To zero in on one specific moment that I will always remember fondly, I was in a field, one of the last 3 surviving, crawling around, no healing, very low health. Got my sniper out looking for people. My friends are spectating me, and they hear footsteps before I do. They say, "Leo, he's on your left." I hurriedly switch weapons to my shotgun and spin over and shoot him once, and he goes down. And this is a point where if anything touches me, I'm gonna die. So I kill him. I scream. I wake up everybody in my apartment building. I turn. I scope in on the other guy, and we're sniping at each other. And I barely managed to outshoot him and win the match. And I lost it. I couldn't sleep that night.
Sounds like an
So
epic
much
battle
adrenaline.
in Sniper Elite.
All
4.
right, all right.
It was
come on.
nearly Sniper Elite 4 levels.
What's more thrilling than that chicken dinner?
It's fantastic.
I mean, I get to just to, that end game scenario. 5 people left, 6 people left. Everyone's slithering around. It's the most intense gaming experience maybe I've ever had in my life. I've never had it fulfilled in any possible way, much like my life. But I'd imagine that's so satisfying. You know that at some point this year, somebody in the universe, in the course of one day, I'd imagine, but guaranteed, somebody has won a game of HQ and gotten a chicken dinner. Maybe at the same time, answering questions while playing the round. Imagine that thrill.
Then they die the next day.
Oh, yeah, everybody would. No human soul can contain that much happiness.
Yeah, you go right to heaven. You just skip
Right this way, sir.
What do you have to skip?
the rest of your life.
The line? Or okay.
Number 2, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
Hey, 222.
222. Dan Tack, number 1.
Wait a minute.
Did we get
Did
Reeves?
Oh!
I forgot
Make
which
it a
order we're
quadruple.
in.
Oh, that's right. Go for
So
number
my
2.
number 2 is Super Mario Odyssey. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Ah.
So we're
Also
working.
still good.
Yeah, we're all on the same path.
Josh,
You
Switch it real
guys,
quick,
you guys
though?
were all 2 for PUBG?
Yeah, 2 for
Wow,
PUBG.
we all had 2 for PUBG. That's
crazy.
good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, all right. So
Dan
now we're
Tack.
number 1. Here it is. The big one.
My only preamble for you is you cannot say a little game called. You have
I
to
won't.
just say it. Okay.
It's number 1.
Yeah.
Nothing little about it.
The biggie.
Yeah. This is Divinity Original Sin 2.
Yeah, there
All right.
it is. This is why we want Tack on this.
This game is just absolutely incredible. Larian Studios deserves to take a bow. It is just astonishing what you can do in that game. And, there was a lot of freedom in the first one, but they've just gone way above what they could ever accomplish in the second game. Just like they actually have like a great character banter. It's not all like just jokes and, carried by the combat. Now it's like there's a story, there's interaction. I want to find out more about the characters. I want to do the quests, and you can do it any way you want. It's just like you go in there, the guy doesn't agree with you, you kill him. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You can do that, or you can try to talk your way out of fights. There's so many different ways to approach the same problems. It's fascinating. Oh my gosh.
Peak old school computer RPG.
Absolutely. And done in a way that it doesn't feel like I can't go back and play Baldur's Gate 2 now, right? It just feels, despite the game being amazing at the time, and I remember being blown away when I first played it, it feels its age at this point, right?
Yeah.
So I like to say that this is a more what it would look like if a modern day interpretation of one of those old school PC RPGs was created today. And it's just like, it's fantastic.
I hate to cut you off. I think we need to get that bald guy Joe Juba down here. I think he's got some critiques for it. No,
I'm sure he does. Maybe if he plays
does
past
he not like it?
Yeah.
He was a little skeptical about it, and he let Dan know on the podcast, and commenters did not care for that.
Okay.
Baldy is what the community calls him.
I'm sure he had good critiques, but he was very early on in the game, as I recall as well.
Absolutely.
It's approachable for somebody new, somebody who doesn't play a ton of those games.
It's as far as PC RPGs go, it is approachable, but it does involve pretty strategical tactical combat. However, there's a low difficulty setting I'd recommend anybody getting into the genre should use.
Yeah.
It's you should be able to handle it.
It's an interesting moment, like going into that top 50 discussion at Game Informer, and everybody spent a minute like talking about like, hey, what's your favorite game of the year? And it came to Tack, and he's like, oh, Divinity 2, and like spent 2 minutes like explaining why. Then we moved on and never talked about Divinity 2 again. It's you're the only one who's played it.
This year had so many incredible games that I think we picked a great one, mind you.
Yeah.
I didn't play it, but it was a great one.
Sure, and I know like a couple other people have started Divinity Original Sin too.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's fair enough. Like Joe.
Yeah, Joe started it and said this is worse than hell.
Yeah, it really boggles me that such some RPG buffs are down on it. But like everyone's got their own opinion. I think it's amazing and one of the best PC RPGs ever made.
It's interesting that also this year Torment came out, and like Matt Miller's a huge fan of Torment for slightly different reasons, but also a throwback kind of CRPG style, and he strongly prefers Torment, whereas it's one of the
Torment more of a story-based experience, way more so. Divinity's still very, while it has a much more compelling story and ways to interact with outside of combat, it is still a very combat-oriented, tactically combat-oriented RPG for sure.
Yeah. Badass. Ben Reeves, number 1, dude.
This is it. This is the big one, guys. Big red one.
Yep.
It's Legends of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. The correct choice, I think.
Great choice.
There it is.
Leo Vader.
Choice.
A little game called
I thought we weren't allowed to do that anymore.
Leo is.
Heat Signature.
Oh, it is a little game.
I'm going to go with a little game called Breath of the Little Wild, Legend of Zelda. Number 1 game of the year for me. Unexpected. But again, it's a weird trend just this year overall, and maybe specifically like in my top 3. Just it feels like an overall trend of certain key games just nailing the sense of freedom that is so refreshing.
Sure.
Between Breath of the Wild, Battlegrounds, and Mario Odyssey. And especially with Battlegrounds and Breath of the Wild, 2 very different games, obviously, but 2 games where I played and I was like, yes, you idiots. This is all I want from gaming. Make more games like this. Relatively simple in some key ways. Mm-hmm. Amazing. Guys, 2017.
It's a really good year.
Crazy year.
I miss it already.
We're not going to have another year that good. It's just like, not for a while.
I don't know about that.
I mean, I think it's debatable. I could see it going good 4 or 5 years.
I didn't mean ever.
Sure.
Yeah, I meant like 2018 is not going to be that good, right?
Yeah,
it's just like not possible.
Well, we'll see.
We're hoping
on the horizon.
But man, like that's
Horizon?
Yep, Horizon 2 is coming.
Hey!
Thank you so much for watching this excerpt from the Game Informer Show podcast. You can subscribe to the audio version and listen to new episodes airing every Thursday. We cover big games on the horizon, games that we've just reviewed. We have long-form developer interviews, a lot of fun stuff. So check it out every Thursday.